بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك وعلمنا من لدنك علما ينفعنا في الدين والدنيا يا كريم. اللهم لا تحرمنا خير ما عندك بشر ما عندنا. وصلى اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سيدي ابن عطاء الله رحمه الله تعالى says, من لم يقبل على الله تعالى بملاطفات الإحسان قيد إليه بسلاسل الامتحان.
Whoever does not draw near to God as a result of the caresses of love is shackled to him with the chains of misfortune.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا مولانا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In the last hikmah we took, Sayyidi ibn Āṭā rahimahullah ta'ala was speaking about the danger of having طمع, of always looking forward to more and more of the dunya and having false assumptions that lead you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After that, Sayyidina Āṭā is talking about a different topic, a different concept, which has a lot to do with the past. So he says, من لم يقبل على الله تعالى بملاطفات الإحسان قيد إليه بسلاسل الامتحان. When Allah Ta'ala calls someone towards Him, He brings someone towards Him, it means that this person is someone who Allah Ta'ala has gifted, who Allah Ta'ala wants to bring closer to Him, someone who's been blessed. And Allah Ta'ala has different ways to bring people close to Him if He has chosen those people to be blessed. Okay, to be people who are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanallah, if a person we find that they have inayah, that Allah ta'ala, we find this person is someone who Allah ta'ala cares about, someone who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed, has opened doors for. We feel this person has a lot of tawfiq, a lot of barakah in their life. Okay, you find that this person will find chances to get closer to Allah Ta'ala around them. Okay. And there's so many chances around every one of us to get close to Allah Ta'ala. So Allah Ta'ala opens this door for everyone. And sometimes some people Allah Ta'ala has written that they're going to be close to Him. And He wants to bring them closer to Him, and they don't pay attention to these chances. They don't pay attention to the doors that Allah Ta'ala has opened around them. So Allah Ta'ala will test them and give them trial to get closer to Him. So everyone in the end of their life will go through, certain experiences that humbles them to the greatness of Allah Ta'ala, whether they're mu'min or not. Okay? And everyone who is blessed will see through the experiences in their life and will witness the ʿazama of Allah Ta'ala and will get closer to them, and that will change their reality and their mentality. So everyone in life is given chances to get closer to Allah Ta'ala, and everyone is given, everyone who doesn't use these chances is tested with trial. But some people in the end of their life, all they get by going through this is, that they are humbled, that Allah Ta'ala, He gives them qahar, He shows them His greatness through trial, but they don't learn anything from that. Someone who Allah Ta'ala wants to give tawfiq, someone who Allah Ta'ala has blessed, they go through the same thing, but they learn from that and they go to Allah Ta'ala from that. So if a person takes their lesson early on in life, before they are tested, then Allah Ta'ala will prevent them a lot of hardship, will prevent them a lot of trial. and they'll be blessed with the closeness of Allah Ta'ala from early on. The scholars in their books, they mention a story that there was a man who was someone who was known to be Zahid, was known to not be attached to dunya, and used to do a lot of ijtihad. He used to do a lot of work. He would pray day and night. He would always worship Allah Ta'ala. He wasn't attached to dunya. People used to see him as the most pious person in town. And he was struggling to get close to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. He was doing his best. Okay. And he used to live off fishing. He would be fishing every day, and whatever he catches, he would sell, and that's how he would live. When he used to catch fish, let's say he caught 2-3 kilos of fish, he would give a huge portion in sadaqah. So let's give 1 kilo in sadaqah, fi sabilillah. And a portion he would consume, and he would then sell the rest. So some people who were close to him used to be around him in order to benefit from him. Okay. They wanted to go and travel to Bilad al-Maghrib, so to the west of that town. So the man said to the person who was traveling, if you enter this certain town, make sure you go to my brother. He lives there. And give him my salam and ask him to make dua for me, because he is one of the awliya of Allah Ta'ala. He's a very big wali. And his dua will be answered. So the man, the person who used to hang around this down-to-earth person, he went. And when he entered that city, he did some research, and he asked about the man, the brother of that dedicated, low-profile, righteous person. And they showed him the place where the man lived, and it was a palace. It was a palace. So it was somewhere that only kings would live in. So the man was very shocked. And when he went to that place and he asked for, and he requested to meet the person, they said he is at the majlis, he's at the, he's right now, he's gone to see the sultan, the ruler of the country, and then he'll come back later on. So the man was very shocked. He said, how could this person be a big wali when his brother is so, down to earth? He's just living off fish. And he asked me to ask this person to make dua for him. And he waited for him to come back. He said to himself, basically, I can't leave. I was told, to ask him dua. So the man came in a while. He came. And he came basically, and he was riding on the most expensive type of, a cart and, horse, and he had a whole, beautiful set up arrangement that he would ride on, as if he was a king. So the man was even more shocked when he saw that. And he was about to leave the person. He was about to leave and not even asking for dua. He said, no way this person could be someone who is pious and righteous and close to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So just before he left, he said to himself, I'm not going to go against my shaykh and not asking for dua. I was told to ask for dua, so I'll do it. So he asked permission to enter into the house after the man had entered. And when he entered the house, he saw a huge amount of slaves and servants, and everything was beautiful. It was a beautiful house. So he said to him, your brother has requested that I come and give you salam. So the rich man said, did you just come from my brother? Were you just with my brother just before? He said, yes. He said, okay, when you go to my brother, I have a piece of advice from me that I want you to give to him. He said, what's your advice? he said, tell my brother, until when? How long are you going to be? How much time of your life are you going to waste in dunya? Isn't it enough? How long are you going to spend worrying about dunya and making dunya your first preference? When are you going to cut your attachment to the dunya? So the man said, this is even more strange and more weird than all the other things I've seen in this story. So he went back to the original town and he met the brother who was very low profile. And he asked him, did you see my brother? Did you meet my brother? Did you meet him? He said, yes. He said, what did he say to you? What did my brother say to you? He said, nothing. He was embarrassed to even tell the request to the Shaykh because how down to earth the Shaykh was. The Shaykh said, you must tell me. I'm not going to leave you until you tell me. So he told him, he said, your brother says to you, when are you going to stop worrying about dunya and focusing on dunya and making dunya a priority? When are you going to leave the dunya? Why are you so overwhelmed with dunya? So the man started to cry and cry and cry. And he said, my brother has told you the truth. Allah Ta'ala has washed his heart from the dunya. Dunya does not exist in his heart. And he only put the dunya in his hand. And me, I take dunya from the hands of the people who dunya is in their hands. Might not be in their hand, it's in their hands. Okay? I take a little bit of it, but I'm attached to the rest of it. I want more. And subhanAllah, this story, Ibn Ata'illah himself, he's the one who wrote it in his book, Lata'if al-Minan. Lata'if al-Minan. So, Sayyid Ibn Ajibah, he says after this story, he says, because of this, the ahwal, the state of the awliya, their state is something that you can't measure, whether it's with poorness or being rich, whether it's, how they look, whether what state they're in, you can't measure that because wilaya is something batin, it's something in the unseen that Allah Ta'ala gifted them. So the reason this story is mentioned here is that to reach Allah Ta'ala, to be dedicated to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, it doesn't mean that a person necessarily needs to go through all the tests and trials that other people go through, needs to be the most poor people. But it's something that you need to pay attention to. Allah Ta'ala will give everyone what is written for them. Some people have to be humiliated and put down to reach Allah Ta'ala. Other people, they don't need that. You need to see the signs. You need to read the signs. You need to start following guidance. You need to start to pay attention, okay, to get closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And once you are sincere in that, Allah Ta'ala will open the door for you, inshallah ta'ala. Whether it's through being rich or poor or whatever it is, Allah Ta'ala will show you. And that is the most important thing. A Muslim wants to reach Allah Ta'ala. No matter how it is, in what shape or form, the Muslim wants to reach Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So, subhanallah, because of this concept, the Sufiya, the early Sufiya, say the al-Junayd and say the Sayyid Sadiqati, and there was a dispute between them. What's better? To be rich and be thankful to Allah Ta'ala, or to be poor and have patience with the difficulties of being poor? أيهما أفضل الغني الشاكر أم الفقير الصابر? There was a dispute. It was one of the matters of difference between the Sufi themselves. And many of the other Sufiya used to believe that being thankful, being ghani and thankful, being rich and thankful is preferred. This is the approach of many of them. And generally, like Sayyidi Ibn Ajib says, you don't have to choose one of the two opinions because, subhanallah, in reality, they are the same. In reality, a real Sufi, in reality, whether they're rich or poor, they'll be thankful in both states. Okay, and someone who is not following tasawwuf, whether they're rich or poor, they're not going to be thankful. So, subhanallah, it's all about understanding what Allah Ta'ala wants from you and doing. It's that simple. Subhanallah, that's why they would say سنة الله استدعاء العباد لطاعته بسعة الأرزاق ودوام العافية ليرجعوا إليه بنعمته فإن لم يفعلوا ابتلاهم بالسراء والضراء لعلهم يرجعون لأن مراده عز وجل رجوع العباد إليه طوعا كرها. Allah Ta'ala, the way He has ran this the reality of this universe is that He would open doors of rizq, doors of ease, to call His slaves towards Him, okay, and so that they go back towards Him through seeing His bounty. If they don't do that, then He would test them, He would give them trial, He would test them through difficulty, so that they reflect and they go back to Him. Allah Ta'ala wants you to reach Him no matter what, and that is usually the pattern that you see. There might be exemptions, but this is generally the pattern that we'll see. Sayyidina ʿAṭā, because of this concept, he says, مَنْ لَمْ يَشْكُرْ النِّعَمْ فَقَدْ تَعَرَّضَ لِزَوَالِهَا وَمَنْ شَكَرَهَا فَقَدْ قَيَّدَهَا بِعِقَالِهَا.
Whoever is not thankful for graces runs the risk of losing them, and whoever is thankful fetters them with their own cords.
So if you understood what he said, open your eyes and you'll find that there's so many graces around you. There's so many ni'am, so many blessings around you. Okay, I'm sure every one of us has so many around them that we don't even notice. Okay, how should you be thankful of that? Okay, and what is the effect of being thankful? It's important to understand. Before we get into this, inshallah, there's a few words that we need to explain. Ibn Āṭā says, whoever doesn't thank the blessings of Allah Ta'ala, the grace of Allah Ta'ala, is at a risk of losing them, and whoever thanks them, فَقَدْ قَيَّدَهَا بِعِقَالِهِ. Okay, so this person has tied them up with an iqal. What's an iqal? Okay, inshallah we'll explain this in the next hikmah. So generally, if you see the picture here, the camel is tied down with a black thing. It's the same thing that people wear on their head sometimes in Arab countries. That used to be used to hold the camel down. Okay, if you tie the camel with an iqal, it can't move. Okay, camels can't move once their legs are tied up. So Ibn Āṭā, he's giving an example that a ni'mah, a grace of Allah Ta'ala, is like a camel, and it needs to be controlled and tied with an iqal, which is thankfulness towards Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. The famous hadith Sayyidina Rasulullah says about tawakkul. He says, "I'qilha wa tawakkal." Yeah, tie your camel up, use an iqal, and then have tawakkul. Same concept when it comes to the shukr. So this hikmah adds to the last one, as Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you are thankful, I will increase you. And our scholars, the scholars of soul, they say that shukr, being thankful, the definition of that, has a definition, is dedicate. This is the definition in tasawwuf, in sharia generally, in sharia, not only in sharia. Even in books of fiqh you find this. They say that the real meaning of shukr in Islam is to dedicate everything you've been gifted from Allah Ta'ala to what it has been created. Okay, so everything that Allah Ta'ala has given you, it has a purpose. Use it for that purpose. That's being thankful to Allah Ta'ala. Using it for other than its purpose is being ungrateful towards Allah Ta'ala, because He gave it to you for a purpose. Okay, so using your body for haram is the highest level of being ungrateful to Allah Ta'ala. He gives you eyes, you look at something haram. He gives you a tongue, you say something haram. He gives you money, you buy something haram, for example. That, of course, is the most dangerous way to approach His ni'am. But then there are, of course, ranks between that and between being the most grateful of slaves of Allah Ta'ala. Every Muslim should try to be more and more grateful and use things in a more in a way that will please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Imam al-Junayd, okay, when he was 7 years old, Allah Ta'ala gave him a lot of hikmah since he was young. Like Sayyidina Yahya alayhi salam, Allah Ta'ala says, وَأَتَيْنَا الْحُكْمَ الصَّبِيَّةَ. We gave him وَأَتَيْنَا الْحُكْمَ الصَّبِيَّةَ. We gave him understanding when he was young. We gave him understanding when he was young. He wasn't like any other young kid. Al-Imam Junayd had something similar. So he was asked when he was a little kid, what is shukr? What's being thankful, O ghulam, O young boy? So he said, أَلَّا يُعْصَى اللَّهَ تَعَالَى بِنِعَمِهِ. The definition is amazing. He says, to not be disobedient to Allah Ta'ala with His blessings. That's the minimum level of shukr, that you don't use Allah Ta'ala's blessings for haram. That's the minimum that every Muslim should achieve. And then, like I said, there are levels beyond that. So Abu Hazim, radiallahu anhu, one of the great Sufis, he was asked, Ma shukr al-ayn? What is shukr with the eyes? Okay. How do we give shukr for our eyes? He says, إِذَا رَأَيْتَ بِهَا خَيْرًا أَعْلَنْتَ. If you see good with your eyes, you spread that good. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ بِهَا شَرًّا سَتَرْتَ. And you see something that is, that is not preferred, something not good, you hide it. This is فَمَا شُكْرُ الْأُذُنَيْنِ. If you hear good with your ears, you understand it and you accept it. If you hear bad with your ears, you don't take that in. You put it from one ear and you let it out from the next ear, okay, or even from the same ear. Let's say from the same ear. So we're not even going to extend that you let it out from the other ear, like they say in English, because it's going through you. Yeah, no. The moment it comes in, it leaves. He says, فَمَا شُكْرُ الْيَدَيْنِ. What is shukr? What's things for your hands? لَا تَأْخُذْ بِهَا مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ. Don't take with your hands something that's not yours. وَلَا تَمْنَعْ حَقًّا. وَلَا تَمْنَعْ حَقًّا هُوَ لِلَّهِ فِيهَا. Don't prevent one of the things that Allah Ta'ala has prescribed, has made compulsory with your hands. He said, فَمَا شُكْرُ الْبَطْنِ. What's thankfulness of your stomach? He says, أَنْ يَكُونَ أَسْفَلُهُ صَبْرًا وَأَعْلَاهُ عِلْمًا. He says that the bottom of your stomach, patience. Your stomach is built on patience, and the rest of your stomach is full of knowledge and understanding. Mashkul farj. What's the thankfulness of your private parts? It says, as Allah Ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ إِلَى قَوْلِ غَيْرِ مُبِينٍ. Those who save their private parts, they don't, they protect their private parts from other than who Allah Ta'ala allowed. And subhanallah, he says, فَمَا شُكْرُ الرِّجْلَيْنِ. What is thankfulness of your legs? He says, إِذَا رَأَيْتَ شَيْئًا غَبَطْتَهُ اسْتَعْمَلْتَهَا إِنْ رَأَيْتَ شَيْئًا نَقَضْتَهُ كَفَفْتَهَا. He says that if you see something good that you want to achieve, you go and you use it for good. And if you see something bad, you prevent yourself. You don't go towards bad. You don't walk towards anything haram, anything prevented. Subhanallah. Now, there's many levels of shukr, of course. And subhanallah, there's so many ways of being thankful. And, as the scholars would say, there's different levels of being thankful. Like I said, they say there's a level of awam, general Muslims. Okay, they're thankful for the blessings that they see, for food, for drink, stuff like that. Okay, this shukrul khawas, the people who are close to Allah Ta'ala, they're usually thankful for all the blessings they have, and also they're thankful for the trials they have in their life, because they know it's from Allah Ta'ala and there's always good behind it. And then khawas al-khawas, the special of the special, the most unique people, okay, the only way they're thankful, okay, is that they don't even notice the blessings, they only notice the blessed, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, that's the best way to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sayyidina ʿAṭā, after he says, خف من وجود إحسانه إليك ودوام إساءتك معه أن يكون ذلك استدراجا لك سنستدرجهم من حيث لا يعلمون.
Be fearful lest the existence of his generosity towards you and the persistence of your bad behavior toward him not lead you step by step to ruin. We shall lead them to ruin step by step from whence they know not.
No. So now, if a person is living and not paying attention to being thankful to Allah Ta'ala, okay, and he's making mistakes, and Allah Ta'ala is giving them blessings, okay, you need to wake up. This is very dangerous. A lot of us fall into this sometimes in their life, okay. So this is another level after what we just explained. You should be worried about that. Subhanallah, Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah ta'ala, he narrated in Bidayah and Ibn Sa'd also narrated in Tabaqat that Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, and he was one of the great Sahaba and they were great awliya also. When he received the bounties from Qadisiyah when the Persian lands entered Islam and he received all the sadaqat and stuff, he was crying so much, and he said, "Wallah," said, "No, wallah, it doesn't happen. Allah Ta'ala didn't prevent this from His Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and from Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu because they were worse than me, because they made a mistake, and He didn't give it to me because I was better than them." So, subhanallah, always be aware. Try to look for anything that could be, you falling into delusion. You have to pay attention. Don't wait for Allah Ta'ala to tell you, now be thankful for this. You're making a mistake here. You yourself have to be aware. And subhanallah, a beautiful story and saying that the founder of the Ottoman Empire, Uthman ibn Abdul, in the books they mentioned that he gave advice to his son when his son was going to be in power. He says, خذ مني هذه العبرة لقد حضرت إلى هذه البلاد وأنا كنملة في الضعف. Said that I came to these lands that were empty, no Islam, everyone was spread out, and I was like an ant, didn't have anything. He was very weak, an ant. فأعطاني الله تعالى هذه النعمة الجليلة. Allah Ta'ala gave me all of these blessings. فلزم مسلكي. So do as I did. Don't start to be tricked by the dunya. واحذر حذري. Be as careful as I was. واعمل على تعزيز هذا الدين المحمدي. And make sure your focus is to strengthen this Muhammadan religion of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وتوقير أهلي, and to respect the people of this religion. فذلك هو واجب الملوك في الأرض. That is the job of kings and people of power on earth. The last hikmah we read today, inshallah, Sayyidina Allah Ta'ala says, من جهل المريد أن يسيء الأدب فتؤخر العقوبة عنه فيقول لو كان هذا سوء أدب لقطع الإمداد وأوجب الإبعاد وقد يقطع المدد عنه من حيث لا يشعر ولو لم يكن إلا منع المزيد وقد يقام مقام البعد وهو لا يدري ولو لم يكن إلا أن يخليك وما تريد.
It is ignorance on the part of the novice to act improperly, and then his punishment having been delayed, to say, if this had been improper conduct, he would have shut off help and imposed exile. Help could be withdrawn from him without his being aware of it, if only by blocking its increase. And it could be that you are made to abide at a distance without your knowing it, if only by his leaving you to do as you like.
No. This hikmah is a very important hikmah, especially for people who are involved into tasawwuf. So, as you know, the main concept and the main focus of tasawwuf, especially of turuq in tasawwuf, is the concept of madad, of basically receiving. Okay, and subhanallah, the more a person progresses in their journey towards Allah Ta'ala, the more the more sensitive it becomes. And making a mistake in adab, having a lack of adab, of manners, of respect, is something that immediately can stop that madad, that connection happening immediately. So what Ibn Āṭā says, and something we witness a lot, min jahl al-murid. When a mistake is of a murid, is that a person will be in a under guidance of a shaykh or something, and that would make mistakes in adab, okay, again and again and again, and because things are okay for them, things seem okay, they continue, they don't change, okay, and they would say to themselves, you know what, if this was a lack in adab, Allah Ta'ala would have changed things for me, my life would have changed, I would have seen it. Allah Ta'ala can stop that madad coming when you don't notice. And you won't notice till later on, after a year or two, then you'll be, oh my God, what happened? Yeah. And khalas, you're disconnected. And even if it hasn't stopped, if it's not increasing, then that is a sign that, you know what, maybe you're doing something wrong. And he said, generally, قد يقام مقام البعد وهو لا يدري. A person can be placed in a position of distance when he thinks he's close. It's a general concept for every Muslim. You could be placed in a place of distance when you think you're close. You could be deluding yourself for years and years and years. ولو لم يكن إلا أن يخلق الذين. And maybe, you know what, maybe the only dangerous aspect of this was that Allah Ta'ala, if He leaves you and just do whatever you want, that is the most dangerous thing. That is the thing you should be scared of the most. I love, really, subhanAllah, this hikmah. I have a lot to say about it, but I really love the way Al-Imam al-Sharqawi spoke about this hikmah. I think he really summarized it better than anyone else. So inshallah, we'll read a little bit of his words, inshallah ta'ala, and then we'll end. He says that من جهل المريد بحقائق الأشياء أن يسيء الأدب. A murid, a person, who wants to seek Allah Ta'ala, who's on their journey, part of the ignorance of the reality that they're in. One sign of the ignorance of the reality that they're in is to make a mistake in adab. And he says this is make the way in mistake in adab is from 3 angles. The first thing is to make a mistake in adab with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. For example, to not be content with the actions of Allah Ta'ala. Say, for example, I wish this didn't happen. Why am I being tested with this? Why this? Why that? Why this? Okay? To always not be happy with the qadr. The second is with the mashayikh. With mashayikh, okay? By questioning them. By, always, subhanAllah, not taking what they say easily, by always putting questions and i'tirad, basically, and not accepting and not taking seriously their words of ishara, their little indications they give you. They might not give you orders, they give you indications. Take those indications seriously. Okay. And the third way that it might happen is by having a lack of adab with other people also. For example, looking down upon others. Okay? All of this could be a reason for a person to be kicked out of what they were, the level they were in closeness to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Subhanallah, one of the Salaf, was it Sufyan al-Thawri, or subhanallah, I forgot. One of the Salaf says that there was a sick person. I said to myself, maybe that person is lying. And I believe he said 30 years, he was prevented some of the state that we were in before because of that one thought that he had. SubhanAllah. So we always have to have adab. Adab is the most important thing to reach Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and that is what lets you see and realize the ni'am that you have and other things around you. Inshallah ta'ala, that's all for today. Sallallahu wa sallam ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Inshallah, if there's any quick questions, we'll take them. If not, we'll end. We took a bit of extra time today, just for the last hikmah, but inshallah we'll end if unless there's any further questions.
Shaykh, I just had a quick question, which is that you mentioned that if you realize some of your errors early on, then Allah won't have to send trials to remind you. But what about the really high shayukh and even the prophets who kept suffering trials? Wouldn't they have
those trials, like the prophets, for example? The prophets, they understand the reality of dunya from before these trials. These trials are for a few reasons. And Imam Sanusi, he summarizes the trials of the prophets in a very beautiful way. He says the reason Allah Ta'ala gave the prophets trials for many reasons. One of the reasons is just to increase their ranks. That's it. To increase their ranks. For the prophets, dunya and not having dunya not is the same. Okay. Another reason is to show others how unimportant dunya is, how much it doesn't mean. Because if the best of people are being trialed, even though they have nothing to be trialed for, okay, that means that Allah doesn't care about the dunya. Okay, that's another reason. And there's other reasons, of course, but these are the main reasons. for the trials of the Prophet and Anbiya and other people. Trial is not always because you have a lack in adab or shukr, but it can be for other reasons. But generally, a person who's been given so much blessings and is so ignorant and arrogant, this person might be trialed if Allah Ta'ala wants them to wake up. There might be wake-up calls that they go through to reach Allah Ta'ala.
Sheikh Sahib, just a quick one. So regarding madad, is it like the divine help? What is it exactly?
Okay, so basically, I sent a video in the group the other day about it. But generally, like we always say, madad means that, let's try to summarize it. It's basically the ongoing connection and power and the gift that you get to help you get closer and closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So tawfiq, barakah, khayr, whatever's coming your way all the time while you're worshiping Allah Ta'ala, okay, that is like fuel, basically. It's fuel, literally fuel, okay? You're fuel towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In tasawwuf is built on madad, why you have a connection to these to the awliya, to the mashaykh and stuff, because you need to be fueled all the time. So that is a source of fuel, basically. So being disconnected is something very dangerous, because if you don't have the barakah and stuff, subhanAllah, you can't even do your abrad, your adhkar. You can't do it. You can't, work on yourself. SubhanAllah, if you're left to yourself, you wouldn't be able to achieve anything. So you need so much, blessings around you to be able to get forward. Inshallah, that makes it clear.
Yeah, Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh Sahib. Another one. So when we say adab, is it respect? Like
Adab
in English,
is manners, to have manners, yes. So to be someone full of manners. Adab, to have full manners. It's manners in every aspect, every different aspect.
Jazakumullah khair.
طيب إن شاء الله stop here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد.